How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, February 6th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to walk you through the Elite performances and matchups from yesterday, Friday, February 5th, and of course, I'm going to walk you through the preview and preview the matchups for today as we walk through each day of sports one day at a time. Starting with the NBA, in Indianapolis, the Indiana Pacers hosted the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Pelicans were able to squeak out of this game with a 114-113 win. The Pacers had the last chance to possibly take the lead, but Miles Turner would miss the game-winning layup on some amazing defense from New Orleans Pelicans point guard Lonzo Ball. After the Pelicans tried to come back from the very end, or they tried to come back at the very end, trailing by double digits, but it just simply wasn't enough at the end. For the Indiana Pacers, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Justin Holiday, who finished with 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 34 minutes, shooting 7 for 15 from the field, 7 for 13 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. For the New Orleans Pelicans, their starting point guard, Lonzo Ball, would finish with 20 points and 9 rebounds in 35 minutes, shooting 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Their elite starting power forward, Zion Williamson out of Duke, go Duke, would finish with 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, as well as 3 blocks in 31 minutes, shooting 6 for 12 from the field and 6 for 9 from the free throw line. The Pelicans' leading scorer would be their elite small forward from Duke, go Duke, Brandon Ingram, as he finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 39 minutes, as he shot 12 for 21 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the free throw line. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are 9-12, which ties them with the Thunder for the third worst record in the entire Western Conference. And then with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are sitting at 12-11, which is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference, 4 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers. Jumping out to Orlando, the Orlando Magic hosted the Chicago Bulls and were able to beat them 123-119 after getting off to a good first half lead and kind of running that through the end of the game. For the Chicago Bulls, their starting power forward, Patrick Williams, their number 4 overall pick from the 2020 NBA draft out of Florida State, would finish with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 34 minutes, shooting 7 for 11 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. And then the Bulls' leading scorer would be their starting small forward out of UCLA, Zach LaVine, who finished with 26 points and 8 assists in 36 minutes, shooting 9 for 21 from the field and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Orlando Magic, their starting shooting guard, Evan Fournier, would finish with 20 points in 29 minutes, shooting 6 for 13 from the field and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And the Orlando Magic's leading scorer would be their starting center, Nikola Vucevic, who I believe had the best performance of the night, finishing with 43 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 assists in 37 minutes, shooting 7 for 29 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the Orlando Magic are 9-14, which is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference. And then with this loss, the Chicago Bulls are 8-13, just below the Orlando Magic at 8-13 in terms of win percentage, but both teams are now sitting 7 games behind the first place 76ers in the East. Jumping out to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets hosted the Toronto Raptors, and the Raptors were able to overcome the Nets, beating them 123-117 after outscoring Brooklyn by 11 in the first quarter and running that through the end of the game. For the Brooklyn Nets, their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden, would finish with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 12 assists. Shooting 4 for 8 from the field in 40 minutes, 2 for 5 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the free throw line. He also had 2 steals as well. Their elite starting point guard, Kyrie Irving, would finish with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 turnovers in 35 minutes, shooting 6 for 12 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Their goated power forward on the bench, Kevin Durant, would finish with 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 19 minutes, as he was benched for the second half after the Nets said they had to deal with safety and health concerns. And then the Nets' leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Joe Harris, who finished with 19 points and 5 rebounds in 37 minutes, shooting 6 for 9 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. For the Toronto Raptors, their elite starting point guard, Kyle Lowry, would finish with 30 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes, shooting 12 for 18 from the field and 6 for 9 from three. The Toronto Raptors' leading scorer would be their elite power forward, Pascal Siakam, who finished with 33 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals in 39 minutes, shooting 12 for 23 from the field and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are 10-12, which is the 7th best record in the NBA, tied with the Atlanta Hawks, as they are 5.5 games behind the 76ers. And with this loss, the Brooklyn Nets are 14-10, sitting third in the East, 2.5 games behind the 76ers. Jumping out to Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Milwaukee Bucks, and in this one, the Bucks were able to beat the Cavaliers 123-105 after outscoring them by 21 points in the second half. For the Cleveland Cavaliers in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting point guard out of Alabama, as Colin Sexton finished with 19 points in 38 minutes, shooting 7 for 17 from the field and 4 for 5 from three in that stretch. For the Milwaukee Bucks, their leading scorer would be their elite power forward, reigning back-to-back NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks in 33 minutes, shooting 13 for 15 from the field, 1 for 3 from three, and 6 for 8 from the line. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are 14-8. They have the second best record in the Eastern Conference, a game and a half behind the Philadelphia 76ers. And with this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 10-13, tied with the Hornets and the Knicks for the 8th best record in the NBA, as all three of those teams trailed the 76ers by 6 games. Jumping out to Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets hosted the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz were able to beat the Hornets 138-121 to hold on to their lead in the West after outscoring the Hornets by 17 in the second quarter and running off that momentum for the rest of the game. For the Charlotte Hornets, their starting small forward, Gordon Hayward, would finish with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes, shooting 9 for 20 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line. The Charlotte Hornets' leading scorer would be their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, who finished with 34 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 39 minutes, 34 points being a career high for him in his very short NBA career. And he, like I said, he did this in 39 minutes. He shot 14 for 27 from the field, 4 for 9 from three, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line. For the Utah Jazz, on the other hand, their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic, would lead the team in scoring as he finished with 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes, shooting 10 for 15 from the field, 7 for 10 from three, and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Also for the Jazz, their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 12 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 27 minutes, shooting 4 for 4 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. And then last but not least, their elite shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, would finish with 30 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes, shooting 10 for 18 from the field, 5 for 9 from three, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the Utah Jazz they still have control in the West, as they are sitting at 18-5, 1 game ahead of the defending champions Los Angeles Lakers. And with this loss, the Charlotte Hornets are currently sitting at 10-13, tied with the Cavaliers and the Knicks for the 8th best record in the NBA, 6 games behind the Philadelphia 76ers. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Heat hosted the Washington Wizards and were able to beat them 122-95 after outscoring the Wizards by 13 in the first quarter, 15 in the second quarter, and then 8 in the third quarter, just running up the score until garbage time. For the Washington Wizards, their leading scorer would come off the bench as Alex Len finished with 18 points and 5 blocks in 24 minutes, shooting 7 for 12 from the field and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Bradley Beal, would finish with 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals in 27 minutes. This is the first game in which he didn't score 25 points. He actually set the NBA record for most games to start the NBA season with at least 25 points, but today he had 7. I can't hold that against him considering the incredible start he's had this year. And he also, in this game, he shot 1 for 14 from the field, 1 for 7 from three, and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. And additionally, their elite starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, would finish with 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in 25 minutes, shooting 4 for 9 from the field, 0 for 1 from three, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Miami Heat, their leading scorer would come off the bench as their shooting guard, Kendrick Nunn, would finish with 25 points and 8 rebounds, as well as 2 steals in 32 minutes, shooting 11 for 17 from the field. And going to their starters, their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, would finish with 14 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 26 minutes, shooting 4 for 7 from the field and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. And their elite center, Bam Adebayo, would finish with 21 points or 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in 28 minutes, shooting 5 for 10 from the field and a perfect 11 for 11 from the line. With this win, the Miami Heat are sitting at 8-4, which is the third worst record in the Eastern Conference as it stands, and they won the Eastern Conference last year. And with this loss, the Wizards are just below them, sitting at 5-14, which is the second worst record in the entire Eastern Conference. As we jump to the next game in OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in this matchup, the Timberwolves will pick up their 6th win of the season, beating the OKC Thunder at the end as their elite point guard D'Angelo Russell hit the game-winning shot to give them this win at the very, very end to help to follow up their third quarter in which they outscored the Thunder by 13 points. For the Oklahoma City Thunder in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting center out of Florida, Al Horford, as he finished with 26 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes, shooting 10 for 19 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the free throw line. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, their starting shooting guard, Malik Beasley, would lead the team in scoring as he finished with 24 points and 5 rebounds in 32 minutes, shooting 9 for 19 from the field and 6 for 12 from 3. Their elite starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, in addition to hitting the game-winning shot and I think having the best play of the night, he finished with 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists in 31 minutes, shooting 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the free throw line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are sitting at 6-16 at the bottom of the West, 2.5 games behind the second to last place Dallas Mavericks. And then with this loss, the OKC Thunder are sitting at 9-12, which ties them with the New Orleans Pelicans for the third worst record in the Western Conference. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Phoenix Suns were able to beat the Detroit Pistons 119-92 at home after outscoring them by 10 in the second quarter and just rolling that momentum through the end of the game. For the Detroit Pistons, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Jeremy Grant, as he finished with 21 points in 32 minutes, shooting 7 for 16 from the field and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And their elite power forward, Blake Griffin, would finish with 9 points in 24 minutes, shooting 2 for 9 from the field and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Phoenix Suns, their elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, would finish with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists in 30 minutes, shooting 7 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the line. And the Phoenix Suns' leading scorer would be their elite starting shooting guard, Devin Booker, who finished with 23 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 31 minutes, shooting 8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are 12-9, which ties them with the Trailblazers and the Nuggets for the 4th best record in the Western Conference, all these teams of which are 5 games behind the first place Utah Jazz. And then with this loss, the Detroit Pistons are sitting at the bottom of the East at 5-17 with the worst record in the conference. Jumping out to Los Angeles for the last game of the night. In Staples Center, the Los Angeles Clippers hosted the Boston Celtics. And at the end, the Boston Celtics would come back because I will say with less than a minute left, the Clippers were winning and they had possession. But Kawhi Leonard would turn the ball over and then the Celtics would get a go-ahead bucket from Kemba Walker, their elite point guard, Kemba Walker, and then Kemba Walker would also hit the free throws at the end of the game to ice it for the Boston Celtics and give them their 12th win of the season. For the Los Angeles Clippers in this matchup, their goated starting small forward, Kawhi Leonard, would finish with 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes as he shot 8 for 19 from the field and 12 for 14 from the free throw line. And then for the Boston Celtics in this matchup, their elite starting point guard, Kemba Walker, would finish with 24 points and 4 assists in 32 minutes, shooting 9 for 19 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. And the Boston Celtics leading scorer would be their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum, who finished with first, go Duke, and then Tatum would finish with 34 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 steals in 40 minutes, shooting 12 for 27 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are 12-9, which is the 4th best record in the NBA. They are currently 3 games behind the first place 76ers as they are inching closer. And with this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Los Angeles, continuing on, they are 7-17 in the Western Conference as they are half a game behind their roommates, the Los Angeles Lakers, the defending champs, and they are a game and a half behind the Western Conference leading Utah Jazz. That's what the NBA was looking like yesterday. Look, just to preview what's going on today, because today is Saturday, starting with the primetime games. At 5 o'clock, the Kings are going to host the Nuggets on NBA TV. At 8:30, the Mavs are going to host the Warriors on ABC. And then going to the games that aren't on prime time. At 1 o'clock, the Knicks are going to host the Trailblazers. At 7 o'clock, the Magic are going to host the Bulls. At 8 o'clock, the Hawks are going to host the Raptors. The 76ers are going to host the Nets as well. The Cavs are going to host the Bucks. The Rockets are going to host the Spurs. And the Thunder are going to host the Timberwolves. And then at 9 o'clock, the Pelicans are going to host the Grizzlies as Zion Williamson and John Morant, the two best rookies from last year, face off against one another. And then at 10 o'clock, the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers will host the Detroit Pistons, the team who I believe sports the worst record in the entire NBA. And really quickly jumping out to college basketball just to show you what's been going on there, because there weren't any big games yesterday, but looking forward to today. I will start it off by saying, even though both teams aren't ranked, Duke will host UNC. First of all, go Duke, and UNC sucks. They're going to face off against one another on ESPN. Neither teams are ranked, but of course this is going to be probably one of the biggest games to watch this year. But then now going to the ranked games that we're going to be looking for today, because today is Saturday at 12 o'clock. The ninth ranked Oklahoma is going to host unranked Oklahoma State on ESPN2. At noon also, 18th ranked Mizzou is going to host 10th ranked Alabama on ESPN. And also at high noon, unranked Miami is going to host 16th ranked Virginia Tech on ACC Network. At 2 o'clock, 17th ranked West Virginia is going to host 23rd ranked Kansas on CBS. At 2 o'clock, 25th ranked Drake is going to go to Valparaiso on ESPN3. At 2:30, 12th ranked Illinois is going to host 19th ranked Wisconsin. At 3 o'clock, 5th ranked Houston is going to host Our Lady of the Lake. At 3 o'clock, unranked Oklahoma State is going to host 5th-ranked Texas. At 4 o'clock, unranked Kansas State is going to host 13th-ranked Texas Tech. Also at 4 o'clock, 14th-ranked Virginia is going to host unranked Pittsburgh on ESPN. At 4:30, 24th-ranked Purdue is going to host unranked Northwestern. At 5 o'clock, unranked Marquette is going to host 15th-ranked Creighton. At 8 o'clock, unranked Kentucky is going to host 11th-ranked Tennessee on ESPN. At 10 o'clock, unranked USC is going to host 21st-ranked UCLA on ESPN as well. And with that said, I'm going to jump really quickly into what's going on in the NHL. And just to start off with the primetime games, or I'll just take you through the list all together. First, the Boston Bruins were able to beat their division rivals, the Philadelphia Flyers, 2-1. All goals were scored in the third period. And with this win, the Boston Bruins are currently sitting at the top of the East Division by 2 points over the Philadelphia Flyers. So this was a very important game. The Tampa Bay Lightning were able to beat the Detroit Red Wings 3-1 as they scored a goal over each period. And of course, with this win, the Tampa Bay Lightning are sitting on top of the Central Division by a point. And the team that they're sitting right on top of are the Florida Panthers, who ended up beating the Nashville Predators 2-1 after scoring both their goals in the second period. Their centers, Verhaeghe and Barkov, would each finish with a goal and an assist each. And like I just said, with this win, the Panthers are sitting 1 point below the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Central table. The Las Vegas Golden Knights hosted the Los Angeles Kings, and they were able to beat them 5-2, scoring all 5 of their goals before the Kings could score both of theirs. Pacioretty, sorry if I butchered your name, the left winger for Vegas, finished with 3 assists for the night. And then, of course, with this win, the Golden Knights are sitting third in the West Division as they are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. And then in Anaheim, the Sharks were able to beat the Ducks in the shootout, beating them 5-4. And of course, with this win, the San Jose Sharks are sitting second to last in the West Division, alongside the Los Angeles Kings, 7 points out from top. And then looking forward to what's going on today in the league, starting off with the primetime matchups. The Islanders are going to host the Penguins on ESPN Plus at 7 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock, the Ducks are going to host the Sharks on ESPN Plus. And then outside of that, the Senators are going to host the Canadiens, the Blues are going to host the Coyotes, and the Maple Leafs are going to host the Canucks, and the Flames are going to host the Oilers as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you what's going on with soccer, starting with yesterday's games. Starting with the German champs, Bayern Munich was able to beat Hertha Berlin in the snow 1-0, as their only goal would come off of a deflection from Kingsley Coman. And with this win, for the moment, Bayern Munich currently sits on top of the Bundesliga by 10 points over second place RB Leipzig, putting the pressure on teams like Leipzig, Wolfsburg, all these teams to just win out the rest of the season and puts less pressure on themselves. But of course, showing they are still in the top of form. And then jumping out to Serie A, Inter Milan was able to beat Fiorentina 2-0. And with this win, they are temporarily sitting on top of the Serie A as they are 1 point over AC Milan with one more game played, putting the pressure on AC Milan to win their game this weekend. Jumping forward to what's going on today and just to see how these games will play out in the league, Arsenal is going to face off against Aston Villa, as Arsenal, looking at the Premier League, is sitting 10th in the table. They are 16 points out from top, but of course they're still a very top club, so of course I'm going to mention them. And then Manchester United is going to host Everton at 3 o'clock. At the moment, Manchester United is sitting second in the table as they are 3 points behind Man City with one more game played. Would they win here, they could tie Man City with two extra games played. But it would still do the best to put Man United in that position to put pressure on Man City. Looking out in the German Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund is going to go to Freiburg. And looking at where Borussia Dortmund is, they're usually the second best team in Germany. Right now, they're sitting sixth as they are right now in Europa League contention. A win here could very well see them jump up to the top 3 today, depending on how Wolfsburg plays. And Wolfsburg will go to Augsburg, so that's a whole other story. Jumping out to Serie A, Juventus is going to host AS Roma at 12 o'clock. These are two of Italy's best teams, actually. AS Roma is sitting third in the table as Juventus is sitting fourth. A win here could put Juventus over Roma with an extra game in hand. So it would be a very good game for Juventus to win. And that's the big game there. Jumping out to La Liga, Real Madrid's going to go to Huesca, as of course Real Madrid is still competing for one of the top spots in La Liga, as they are tied with Barcelona for the second place spot, 10 games behind Atletico Madrid, as both teams have played one more game than Atletico. And then looking out to the French league, Lyon is going to host Strasbourg, and I mention Lyon because they're one of the teams that sits ahead of PSG in the table. They sit ahead of PSG by a point. A win here can keep PSG from passing them this week. And that's kind of everything that's going on this weekend, and I don't imagine there are some crazy big fights. Don't take my word for that. But of course, I'm going to keep my ear to the ground. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to my piece. Today is Saturday, February 6th, 2021. And I will come back to you guys tomorrow after this episode, or after all these exhibitions have been finished. And of course, tomorrow is Super Bowl Sunday. So I am definitely looking forward to what's going on this weekend. Thanks once again for listening to my 22 minutes piece. I'm James Sims. I hope all is well. Peace out.